Call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Here.
Mr. Gorbitz,
Here.
Miss Laird,
Here.
Mr. Price,
Here.
Mrs. Ray.
Here.
Approve or amend and sign the minutes of the regular meeting held March 22nd, 2021.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Laird, seconded by Mr. Price. Any questions regarding the minutes? Concerns? Roll call, please.
Miss Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu.
I have a question. Do I approve them? I wasn't here last meeting.
Oh,
I didn't hear it.
she wasn't here. Should she abstain?
It's totally up to you, because you could have listened to it online.
Okay.
So
Really,
it's
whatever.
I did watch it online. I just wanted to make sure since I wasn't here.
There you
so-
go. I think you could be fully involved then.
Okay. Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, walk-on items?
I do have a walk-on item, Mr. Gorbetz, with the board's permission. We had a late development with the league, with our league. And Friday afternoon late, and then again today, we got an official invitation to join the Northern Lakes League. So what I'd like to do, if it's with the board's permission, is let Mr. Byrne, our athletic director, sort of bring up to speed on kind of what's gotten us to this point and kind of what we're looking at. So Mr. Byrne, if you don't mind. Yeah, please.
Gotcha. So as John said, this past Friday, we received a call from Richard Brown, who is the commissioner for the Northern Lakes League. And in our conversation, he offered us membership into the NLL, which is one of the conferences in which we applied for membership earlier this year. The NLL is currently comprised of 8 schools, most of which are geographically located in and around the Toledo area. With that being said, one of those schools is actually on its way out, and that is Maumee. Maumee has taken another avenue in terms of their membership, and they will be leaving at the end of next school year, which now only creates a 7-team league. So the NLL was looking to expand. Their initial efforts were to try to find 4 additional teams to basically create a 12-team league conference with 2 divisions of an upper and a lower division based solely upon enrollment of the schools. However, once Maumee left, that plan unfortunately fell through. But this past Friday, they decided that they would like to continue to pursue league expansion efforts and offered us, along with 3 other current Three Rivers Athletic Conference teams, membership into the track, making for a 11-team league with the hopes of, within the next couple of years, trying to identify as well as kind of solicit some additional memberships in hopes of developing a 2-tiered system within their league. What I can tell you is that right now they are looking at a 2-league division, a upper league and a smaller league, based solely upon enrollment at this point. We don't know where exactly Fremont would fall within that breakdown structure, if we would be kind of as part of the upper division or the lower division. We haven't had those talks yet, other than a simple conversation to extend an offer of membership into there. Pending board approval this evening, it is something that I believe our athletic department would benefit from greatly in terms of transitioning over from the Three Rivers Athletic Conference to the NLL. So with that, if there's any questions regarding our current league or our proposal to move to the NLL, I'd be happy to entertain those at this time.
Okay. Seeing none, with the board's permission, I'd like to tuck that into student and staff achievement, and we'll get that in the agenda, if that's okay, on page 6. We'll add that right inside student and staff achievement. Seems appropriate with students. Also tonight, Mr. Gorbach, with your permission, we have a walk-on for fiscal matters. I would give where you'd like that. It's for some approval for meetings for Mrs. Ray, actually. So if we could get those in, where would you like those, Ira?
Just under the fiscal.
Under fiscal, so on page 11, we will add conference attendance.
John, where are we adding the athletic move?
I've got it as just under item 17 there, where student and staff achievement on page 6.
Okay.
First item under student matters. Okay.
I'd like to commend Mr. Burnt for his efforts. I know it's been an immense amount of work over a rather extended period of time. And I think it's something that will benefit our district and the community and our students immensely. The Northern Lakes League has always been a very highly regarded, prestigious league to be in, so we should consider ourselves very fortunate to be accepted. And even though my nap was interrupted, I had to come in and sign the letter of intent.
We all have a price to pay, Mr. Gorbach.
Still appreciate your efforts. So congratulations.
All right. One other thing that, if I may, board, it's not really a walk-on item, but something I'd like to bring to your attention. I had mentioned at our last meeting that it's time to start talking campus wear. And I had sent out a survey to the whole staff in the district and forwarded those results to you, I think maybe Friday, Saturday maybe. It was about a 3-to-1 ratio of staff members who thought it would be good to stay the course where we are now versus going back to the campus wear policy. Now, just for everybody's memory, we did this last summer. We kind of backed off just because of the COVID and everything where we were. I think it was the right decision then, and I still think it really was. And now it's kind of a time for us to decide what to do in the future. After talking to the staff and to some parents, and there are, arguments on both sides, and I just, for the community's sake, some of the arguments that we got in our survey, reasons to keep it, where, I think it may save families some money, students look better, reduces obvious economic differences between families, parents don't have to argue about what their child is wearing, which can be an issue. Clothes that they wear in our campus policy wouldn't distract from learning. Then some of the reasons that we cited for not returning were difficulty of enforcement, students able to express some of their own individuality, other area schools don't have campus wear, and that there isn't really an impact on behavior. So those are some of the pros and cons. In our survey, I'd say the majority of the staff that responded talked a lot about the difficulty to enforce as a primary reason. It seemed to be one of the most common responses. Second, really, where students were able to express their individuality would be a reason to not return to campus wear. On the reasons to keep it, I think it was a pretty general, kind of an even response. I mean, all those reasons seem to be cited somewhat equally. I would like to recommend that we sort of stay the course. And I think the staff, being the boots on the ground, kind of have a sense of what's worked and what doesn't. And also some of the comments made where it hasn't, some were worried that we'd lose it this year, with kind of going back on that. And I heard from several people that it didn't all go crazy like we thought it might. We, were able to maintain. Now, in some of my conversations with my administrators, even today, we're going to have to tighten up again because it is a little lax. You know, I think is with COVID, the grace has been my word. I've been using the word grace all year, and that's been trickled into a few things. So there are some dress code things we'd like to tighten up with what we currently have. But it's going to be my recommendation that we don't go backwards. Now, I'm not making a motion because right now our current policy is the relaxed code. But, you know, I think originally back when the earth was cooling and Mr. Gorbutz was on the board back then, maybe on the staff back then, if that's how far back we go, it was very much a board thing, and not good or bad. I mean, it was a board thing. And I also want to respect the board's wishes, but it's my recommendation that we sort of stay the course with our relaxed dress code. You know, if you want to have some discussion, because it would, we'd have to get something on here if we wanted to go back to our campus wear policy.
So, John, when we talked about making the concession due to COVID, the discussion at the time, it was a temporary concession. We were not changing the policy.
Okay.
That's my recollection that this is what we're going to do for now, but this wasn't the stance for here forward. So,
okay.
based on my recollection, I think it actually would require action.
Okay. I'd have to look back. I think we changed the language. I simply went back. If I remember, and I may have misunderstood the intent. I think I went back and pulled old language from a previous handbook, brought it forward, and we approved that. Now, I'd have to look and see, and you may be right, we may have made it a temporary.
I don't remember it being a temporary because it was a policy. In order to enact it, we just changed the policy. We used the directives of what was in place before campus wear with a little bit of change in there.
We tweaked it.
For whatever. Yeah, tweaked it a little because it was quite a few years later then.
Right.
But I don't think there was a timeline or a date set on that because it actually had to change the policy of the dress code.
I think it'd be okay if we wanted to clarify it, Ms. Laird. Obviously, I don't think we'd be out of line to say, this is our intent, regardless, really. If you wanted to, we could, that way, no matter what we did do back then, it would cover us. So like maybe we could say, put out a motion to say, okay, we're going to maintain the current policy as it is now, which would qualify us either way. So if there is language that makes it temporary in what we did before, and I'm sorry I don't have that.
That's okay. I'm certainly in favor personally of maintaining the course.
Okay.
I just remember the spirit of the conversation was we have an issue with COVID, so that's why we're looking at this.
Absolutely.
It was not that the board itself said, gosh, we think uniforms are
no
longer relevant.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right. That certainly was the conversation. But I think what I'm thinking is the mechanics of what I did maybe on the board agenda was simply change the policy back to what we had 10 years ago without any qualifying language about this is just for this year. So, but that would just be that. So, I don't know if anybody else had any thoughts. Okay.
I'm in favor of maintaining
where we are now. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now the couple more things, and we'll get on back to our agenda. Tour. This Thursday, I'd like to invite the board to the latest and greatest tour of Ross High School. We actually have made arrangements with the state. Our representative from OFCC is coming back into town to visit and also tour. And also we're inviting the Ross staff to come over and take a tour as well. I'd like to invite the board. But in my invitation, I also have a little mission for you, which I also would like to bring up to your attention. If you recall, in that area above the library, which is above the administrative area, there's a beautiful balcony that overlooks that grand stairway. It's beautiful. And there's also another open stairway, and then a railing over a part of the hallway. They're all right there in that large, almost second floor lobby feel, if you recall.
Like the elevator.
Yes, thank you. So we have some concerns a little bit about that wide open space. And let me clarify right off the bat for everyone who's listening, it's all built safely and it's to code. It meets every state standard for safety, and there is no negligence or anything that is not proper. But it is a wide open space. We talked to the contractors about anything we could do with that, just because it's a wide open and it's about a 12-foot drop off that balcony. There's a railing, and it's a standard railing, but it is a pretty big drop off. So they've given us a price through the construction process to put a glass panel that actually would be bolted to the railing. Imagine it's a three-rung metal railing, about 38 inches high. And imagine what they'll do is take 2-foot panels of glass, thick glass, and bolt those to the outside of that railing, creating a transparent see-through glass wall that would separate that upper hallway from that teaching stair below. So everybody can sort of see what I'm thinking about. So what I'd like you to do, if you get a chance this Thursday to come by, and if you wanted to, or let me know, I can take you through anytime you are available, is to look at that and see what you think, if it's something that you would like to do. The price to install that glass on that rail along the library, above the stairway in that same space, and then there's about a 8-foot section of hallway, is about $53,000. Now, that's a lot of money, and everyone in this town knows that's a lot. But I think it might be something to consider, just on a safety grounds. So maybe a little homework for the board is to check that out this week. And then I'd like to bring that back to you, maybe for conversation at a later time, to see if that's something that you think we should do. Because it's a significant amount of money, and I would like your blessing if that's something that we could agree upon. I don't know if anybody got any questions on that right away.
I think it's a very good concern, a very
Yeah,
good item to
I think
bring
it's
up.
legit.
And I mean, everybody's watched all the Netflix series through COVID. You've seen Cobra Kai, so you know exactly what the risk is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The other thing I think might be an educational advantage is our intent is for teachers to use that stairway for instruction, because there'll be a display board, and that is meant to be an amphitheater feel. That glass partition will, I think, create a little bit of a sound barrier for any noise that might be happening in that hallway while those teachers are trying to use that space. It might give it a little more of a room feel. So as you're looking at it, maybe keep that in mind too. So that's your homework, ladies and gentlemen. This Thursday, if you can, check that out, and we'll revisit that as a group if that's okay. All right, thank you so much. Tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock is our the session with Bill Reinecke. I want to make sure I got the time right. That is kind of the opportunity that OSBA is giving us to listen to see what our statewide representatives are thinking, and especially on the Senate side, about the new school funding law. The House Bill 1 on the House side is getting a lot of momentum. They don't think that'll be a problem. The Senate is pushing back, we think. So this will be a chance for us to ask questions of our senator. I've sent him a few questions that he'll be hopefully responding to tomorrow, and that is at 1 o'clock. That's right. And there's a YouTube link if you want to watch. I don't think we can interact. I think it's just going to be a one-way audience. But I've submitted some questions, and others have also, that hopefully they'll be responding to. So 1 o'clock tomorrow. And I think the more viewers that are on there, I think the more the message being that we all care about this desperately. So please encourage you to check that out tomorrow. And finally, work session for next time. I worked with Mr. Gorbetz. We really had kind of run through some of the things we've done in work sessions, have been very, very fruitful and very useful. But he asked for an update on our technology, just sort of the status of where we are district-wide with technology, the number of computers we have, the integration of our new technology in elementary schools was a big part of our new build. I think that's a very appropriate thing to kind of bring forward next time, if that's okay with you. Okay? All right. That might be all I have. All right. Yeah. Mr. Gorbetz, may I continue then with the agenda?
Yep.
All right. Super. Thank you very much. We had a parent call, but then canceled it for hearing the public, so we don't have anybody that's coming to see us tonight. So going on with item 1, approval of donations. You can see we have masks, snacks, golf club, more masks, and flags. So we're thankful for all of those things. So have that first, please.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve item 1? Moved by Mrs. Ray,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any questions regarding item 1? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Miss Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you very much, Board. Just to clarify, I just got a text from Mrs. Abernathy and Mrs. King. They both confirmed that there wasn't any provisional language on that policy. I know we talked about COVID in nature, but there isn't anything that triggers it back out, I guess, is
Okay,
what we should
great.
say. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to item 2 is our National Volunteer Week of April 4th through the 10th with the board's permission. And item 3 is our School Library Media Month. Thank you.
We have a motion to approve items 2 and 3.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price,
Second.
second by Ms. Laird.
Thank you very much.
Any questions
I'm sorry.
regarding items 2
I'm
and
so
3?
sorry. I got a little anxious there, Mr. With I apologize.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carried. Legislative liaison report.
To report on is the content of our conversation with Representative Reinecke. We've heard about the new funding bill, but we haven't really talked about it as a group together. So I thought that I would highlight a little bit of what it proposes. So currently, the $6,020 figure that the state comes up with how much it costs to educate a child is so hard to quantify. It almost appears to be arbitrary. It's very difficult to explain to the general taxpayer exactly how we arrived at that dollar amount. So what the bill does, in my opinion, what one of the greatest benefits is it better defines those things. So it takes in consideration various categories to come up with that sum. And that would be the cost of technology, for example. There's facilities that's considered in that. Specialty staff, there's certain student ratios based on economic conditions of how many specialized staff you need to have, whether that's social workers or so on. All this is put in together so you can more clearly and hopefully more fairly quantify how much it costs to educate each child. And then we'd be able to better inform our taxpayers on how we come up with costs for that. Interesting enough, the way it's written right now, the charter schools would be exempt from the facility financial consideration because many of those are online. So that does make sense. And then once it quantifies how much it costs to educate a child, then of course they take it back to how many children are in that classroom, and build it on the way up into the district. And it takes in consideration that it costs more to educate children in some districts than others, based on various factors within the population, rather than the budget going just entirely on whoever lives in the district that has, higher wealth based on real estate value gets the majority of the funding. This is a little bit more needs-based. Now, it doesn't take the real estate factor completely out. So if there's any point of contention, again, this is just my opinion, colleagues, I think that might be the key. The whole rub with the state Supreme Court was it was ruled to be unconstitutional based on real estate taxes because the disparity that creates. That's not completely gone. But what it does is when we come up with that figure, then of the state's budget, that's how the state would determine how much they would contribute to the various districts. And then that gap being figured out, how much of that gap based on what the local taxpayers are already covering. And that used to be, as I understand it, about 50-50 real estate tax, income tax. That's flipped to more 60-40. So real estate factor is not completely gone, but it's quantified a little bit differently. that the legislators have put this together feel will now comply with the Supreme Court's suggestion. The way that it would pan out with our district, for example, it would give about $1,100 more to every student in the Fremont City School District, generating $4.4 million to the district. And I think one of the best things for the local taxpayers listening to this to know is that would come from the state. The way the math shakes out, it shows that the local district is doing its part, especially where you're capped. You're doing what you can. And then how much more it costs would then come from funding from the state. And I think it's well overdue. You know, some years ago, as the administrative level has changed hands, significant cuts in state funding for public schools has happened. And this shifts a little bit of that, taking the burden off the local taxpayers that are already doing their job to getting that collective piece that we all pitch into at the state budget more shifted into the school districts that truly need it. So that's the gist of it. Thought it'd be nice to know kind of the highlights before we have the phone call. That's all for
That
this
was well
evening.
done. Thank you. Very well said.
Thank you.
Well, let's hope they enact something that makes sense.
One rumor I'd heard is that the Senate, their pet is the ed choice. That's something that really matters to the Senate, not so much in the House. So one word on the street is maybe they'll negotiate, okay, we'll give you your formula if you give us more ed choice options in the state. So we'll see how it all works out.
You know, if everyone was held to the same standards and accountability,
There you go.
then ed choice might have some
All right.
credibility to it. But you're not really. The argument behind that is to make things competitive. You know, you're not competitive if you're not operating under the same rules.
Absolutely. I'll compete, but just don't make me run uphill.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Or make everybody run uphill.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't me run at all, but you know what I'm
Correct.
saying, right?
Right.
All right. All right. Can I continue, Mr. Gorbetz?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much. Board, item 4, we found a nice, solid used truck that we'd like to purchase. Already has a snowplow and salt spreader on it, and we kind of limped through this winter. We have a lot of sidewalk, and one thing we noticed about the new elementaries, there is a lot of sidewalk. It's good for safety for students, but it's a lot of snow removal. So we need to beef up our snow removal plan a little bit with your permission.
Yeah, can we have a motion to approve item 4, the purchase of a used truck? Moved by Mrs. Ray,
Second.
second by Ms. Laird. Any discussion regarding item 4? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ray?
Yeah.
Ms. Laird?
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz?
Yes. Motion carries.
With any luck, the guys will let me drive it someday too. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. Moving on, item 5, we have some contracts. The first one there, web checks. Just so you know, that is our background check system that we have at the board office. You may have done that. I don't know if you did or not. But new hires, even other people in the community can come into our office for their FBI and background checks. It's a monopoly of the Ohio Attorney General. So guess what? We get to pay them for the privilege of having that machine that we have no choice but to buy. So so you know how that works. Item 6 is an MOU with the County Job and Family Services Group. You may recall a year ago, you approved for me a case manager. And as we started to get into a little more financial trouble, it was something I didn't think we would be able to afford. Fortunately, our friends at the Job and Family Services have written a grant, and we'll be able to continue that. It's in a very, very popular, very good program, and we found another funding source. So that's really what this is about, is clarifying where that money will come from. So thank you very much for those.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve items 5 and 6?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Laird,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any discussion?
as we look at our mental health issues in our district, I'm just so excited to be able to keep this going. So thank you.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Items 7 through 17 are first readings of our policy. This meeting actually goes back a month ago. Alex and I were talking about this. We thought, where these come from? Oh yeah, this has been a while. I think we were just right before a regular meeting, then we've had a work session since. So here's our first reading of that next round of policies.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve items 7 through 17?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Laird. Are there any questions regarding any of the policy? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Board, with your permission, then, this would be my first walk-on item there at the bottom of page 6, would be the agreement to accept our invitation into the Northern Lakes League. And I also would like to publicly thank Mr. Burnt for all his work. It's a lot of work, a lot of stress, and there's been failed attempts and years of attempts. And we're so excited to be a part of that. I actually had a chance to contact Whitmer's superintendent, Findlay superintendent, and Oregon Clay superintendent today, just to sort of celebrate a little bit together. So we're all very excited for this opportunity to carry on those great rivalries and then add a few more. Thank you. Let's call that item 18, Mr. Gorbitz, I think.
Okay, item 18, do we have a motion to approve? A motion to accept invitation to join the Northern Lakes League.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Laird,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Price. And I genuinely feel that not only will being with those schools be an asset for us as a school district, it will be an asset for them, for us to be part of that league. We have a lot to offer. We have fantastic facilities, and our organization and administration of our programs are second to none. Are there any other questions or discussion items regarding that item? Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Now, item 19, staff matters. There's a couple conspicuous ones on here. Right there at the top, Ira Hammond. Mr. Bates, I'd like to thank him. He stepped in last year in our physics and chemistry department at Ross, did a great job for us. He was out of retirement, so he's going back out. So he's ready for that. And then Linda Claycomb. And hope Linda's listening. She has been my right arm, my left arm, my right leg, and my left leg for the last 4 years. I just can't say enough about what Linda has done for me. And I don't want to get emotional here, but it's truly, she is so devoted and loyal. I mean, you name it. And I could ask her to do anything, and she would just be right there to do it. So it's been a pleasure and a joy to work with Linda as my assistant. So I publicly thank her for what she's done for me. I really, really mean that a lot. And then Mr. Hammond, of course, I know you always like to say something, but I also have enjoyed working with him and wish him well in his future endeavors. I think he's earned his stripes, and boy, there are some, and scars to show it. So those are my comments. I'm sure you'll have some too. Item 20, there's some following appointments there. We've got a few more substitutes. Continue on the next page, then we have a new custodial one, a bus driver, and a cook, with your permission. And then a support staff substitutes. We had 3 of those pending some paperwork. Item now 21 is hiring James Shear as our head golf coach. Now item 22 goes on to the next page for some supplemental duties. We have there Constance Cahill, AKA Lindy, and that's for the head volleyball coach. Item 23, special event workers. We have some tournament managers and ticket scanners. Item 24, we have a student lifeguard and Logan Weisenauer. Item 25, special event workers, that continues on the next page. That is for our musical. We have some technical assistance help right there to make sure that that goes off swimmingly. These are what you helped me with last time, were our summer intervention programs. We now have people in charge. Dr. Pierce will be handling the K3 group, and Mr. Matz will be doing the 4-5 group this summer. All the details are there. Item 27, status changes for Lisa Fox, Marie Ontiveros, and Ralph Swaysgood. And then finally, what will be item 28 is a leave of absence for Carmen Curran. Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. We have a motion to approve items 18 through item 28.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Laird,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Ray. Any questions or concerns, comments regarding those personnel areas? Well, before we vote, I'd like to wish Ira well.
Thank you.
And it's been a pleasure working with you. It's always comforting when I came in to know that there was somebody my age who's actually able to do a job here.
It's great to be 39, isn't it?
Well, I don't see that many people my age anymore. So, to work with somebody that is my age, I appreciated that. It was somewhat of an inspiration, actually.
Actually, it's very bittersweet. I will miss you guys. It's been a pleasure. You've taught me a lot.
Your skills and talents and background came in at a perfect time with our build and us moving from multiple buildings down to fewer, coming from the private sector that understands mergers, acquisitions, and all of that. It actually lined up nicely, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good. Roll call, please.
Miss Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, fiscal matters, report of the treasurer.
I'm going to do financial first. You will find before you a couple sheets. This is changed from what was sent out to you on Friday. It was just a couple reclasses, and I just didn't feel good about not changing those numbers because it really impacted my real estate revenues on the top line and my other expenses down below. A couple of things happened this month, the month of March. If you'll recall, I ended up having to do a precautionary, a watch written plan that ultimately they ended up saying, give us an updated revised 5-year forecast, which I did. But part of that very systematically started to use up wellness and ESSER dollars. And in doing that, I am pulling expenses out of my general fund side, which is what this is all about, this statement in front of you, and moving them over to the grants section, which you don't see here. And so from accounting perspective, this just bugs the daylights out of me because when I start doing that kind of stuff, I now lose the ability to look back at history and say what was going on here, what's going on today, so that we can budget and move forward. So I've tried to put together a second page here that shows what our year-to-date financial results would look like if we did not move those dollars out of the general fund over to the Wellness and Success Fund and the ESSER funds. So that second sheet shows middle column without the stimulus, meaning if I had not moved funds from the general fund to the grants. And then that third column, it says with stimulus, that should reflect the same thing as your year-to-date on that front page. So for the month of March, out of the expense side, so all of this will end up being out of the expense side, even if I'm getting reimbursed for revenue, because you can't use federal grant money on the revenue general fund side of the house. And if that's confusing, I would understand and I would agree that, yes, that can be very confusing. So you're going to see over the next 4 months a decrease in my expenses as I move expense dollars out. But what I have done is I have set up very specific general fund accounts to keep track of that and not let it get enmeshed in the details of these line items, so that you still have the ability to review those items. But we took about $500,000 out. By the end of this year, we should have about 2.5 to 3 million out of there, which will help our bottom line on our general fund and make it healthier. With the exception of that, my real estate taxes, when you look at the first page, and I say the first page because there's no change whether it was stimulus or not, my year-to-date at 10.8 million is about 4% higher than what our budget was for the year. And that number is almost etched in stone now for the rest of the year. We'll get a trickle in of a few dollars, but basically we've received all of our real estate tax revenue that we will get this year. The same is true with our personal property. That number is pretty close to being right on the money right now. It won't waver much. And if you look at that $1.2 million and you compare it to last year's $1.6 million, that reflects that second AMP payment. We have one more AMP payment in July of this year, which will hit fiscal 22, and then AMP will be out of the picture. I did get a notice today while we're talking about AMP, you can't help but talk about Nexus. That was supposed to be going to the Ohio Department of Taxation, Board of Appeals, revisions in May. They have kicked the can down the road. What I understand right now, the soonest that they'll be doing anything on that is November of this year. And they've moved Rover to next year. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see Nexus get kicked into next year, calendar year 2022 also. The third line item down, and I focus on these first three because that's really where the chunk of your revenue comes. We're still 1/4 of collection for the income tax. I will know the end of the month. I'm hoping that it's right on the money, that will put me even with the budget. I can't say at this point because it's one of those truly unknowns. But just comments on the financial. With your permission, I would like a motion for the financial statement.
This item 28 or 29?
That would be 29.
29. Okay, could we have a motion to approve our financial statement?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Price,
Second.
second by Ms. Laird. Any questions or concerns regarding financial statement? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Miss Laird, sorry.
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Carried.
Moving on to the walk-on item. So this is going to be item 30. Vi has requested, and as you'll recall, I need approval to pay her. So she wants to attend a Board Leadership Institute on April 23rd and 24th, and also an ESC focus group meeting on April 15th.
Could we have a motion to approve item 30?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Laird,
Second.
second by Mrs. Espiritu. Any questions or concerns?
I would just thank you, Mrs. Ray, for your willingness to give up the time to get those kinds of information and then bring them back to share.
Okay, roll call, please.
Miss Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray, Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carried.
Alex, may I interject something? And Chantel, you are right. I got my little elves out there searching board minutes, and a motion. This is last summer. A motion by Mr. Gorbetz, seconded by Mrs. Ray, to suspend the current campus wear policy and temporarily replace it with the pre-campus wear policy from 2009. And then it says, see JFCA. So we took JFCA, which is the policy letters, and did plug it in. So I guess what's in our handbook right now reflects policy JFCA. So I probably could go either way, because in our board meeting, we did say temporarily change it. You were absolutely right. I'm amazed by your memory. And then when we did it to the policy, we just changed it. I mean, so we plugged the policy into our handbook. So right now, we did say in our motion that it would be temporary. So it may be appropriate to change that. What do you guys think?
It's a simple enough thing to do since the motion was specifically temporary.
I would feel better if
agree.
we actually addressed it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
So I'd like to make a motion
Thank you.
to
Do you want to see? I'm sorry. I spoke without hearing your motion.
It's okay. Then how about this? I'd like to make a motion to, what was the policy?
JFCA.
I'd like to make a motion to apply policy JFCA.
From 2009. To be very clear, yes.
From 2009 to be effective here forward.
Yes. Now, I may clarify, just as we go through, we do some policy stuff in the spring, and our
Sure.
handbooks are approved, and some of their tweaks, it might be sandals
Right.
but overall, the policy would be that. Thank you.
I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Laird and seconded by Mr. Price, that we adopt policy JFCA going forward. Are there any other questions regarding that policy? And we're going to tweak it a little bit?
Well,
did you say?
just every spring, as part of our normal routine, we revisit all that stuff and look at it. And I had some of the principals even today ask me about hoodies or not hoodies. I mean, there's some other things that we want to sort of clarify, but I'll bring that forward with our handbooks, which is kind of getting down into the nitty-gritty. Policy is a very general thing. So
Will that be a first read, second read type thing?
yeah, probably should be.
That was what I was.
Yeah, I say
concerned
policy
about.
change, that'd be a first read, and we'll carry that on forward. Thank you, Ira. Good catch.
And the handbook will spell out the entirety
Correct.
of our
Correct. In child language, that's right.
Correct.
JFCA's policy language, right. Correct.
what our policy will be going forward
Correct.
as it pertains to the dress code.
Yes, sir.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Espiritu,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray.
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Carrie. Okay, board member communications and information. Requests. We'll start with Mr. Price.
First, like everybody else, I'm happy that we're going into a different athletic league. I know it's a couple years away, but I think that'll be a great boost for morale, for everything that we're trying to do. I'll be happy to be a part of that. So as a district, I think that's a great thing. So along with what others have said, Ira, thank you for the work that you've done here, for all that you've done for us. And during this, there's a lot going on for a treasurer. Same with the superintendent right now. I mean, there's just a lot. So, I mean, tack on COVID to everything else that's going on. It's like, hey, all right, here we go. So thank you very much for all the hours and the hard work and everything, and completely understand and wish you well at moving closer to home, stuff like that. So that's always a good thing. Completely understand that. So
I told my wife, I said, if I could move Fremont an hour closer to Wadsworth, I would have loved to have been here another 5-6 years. Thank
and
you.
To Linda, if she is listening, Linda, you're going to be missed. That's for sure. Well-deserved retirement for sure, but you will be missed. Thank you. Also for all the years and the hours and having to deal with Mr. Detweiler. That'll do it right there. So
Hot mess.
But
Yep.
yeah. So that's all I have.
Mrs. Ray.
I mirror what Mr. Price said. I'm really happy about our new appointment, our new invitation for our athletic department. And also, we always are appreciative of the gifts, and the donations from our community, which for that encouragement, especially the mask right now. That's a pretty good big thing. Also, I should have said thanks to Ira. It's amazing how he came in the middle of a storm, a firestorm with all the building, all the things that were going on, and had to make adjustments and learn school treasurer stuff and all that. And thanks for the good job. And things feel calm now, and thanks to you for that. And Linda, it's hard to express. I've had some personal interactions with Linda. She is just, in the different groups, just awesome. She's on top of everything, and she's going to be really, really missed. And wish her the best. Wish you the best, Ira. And I also had a little thing. I felt that Linda was the glue that kind of held everything together.
You got it. That is
in our
absolutely right.
district. So we appreciate that. And I guess that's pretty much what I have.
Well, definitely thank you, Ira, for coming into our district at a very unique, unique time with a lot of work. The bulk of the day falling in the treasurer's department is a rare event in a public school district. But when you had 5 school buildings needing to be financed and funded and such intricate accounting principles required of all of those funds, it took every bit of your staff and yourself to do that. And we really, really appreciate that. It's one of those things that, you know, no one looks at the foundation when you take a look at a house. You built the foundation. People just were able to assume it was okay because you made it okay. And we really appreciate that. Also, congratulations to Linda. We've enjoyed working with you so very much. You've taken great care of us and Fremont's children and everybody within our school district. I miss the retiree breakfasts and lunches that we
Yeah.
used to be able to have. And we might have to do a little bit of a retro invitation list once
you
we
go.
get to different days. Would love to do that. It's well deserved. When you're ready to spell out on the information request, John, when you're ready for all the graduation ceremony details,
Okay. Yep.
we're getting asked all that already.
Sure,
They're,
I will
they're
get that
getting
to you.
excited.
Absolutely.
And I will be particularly, when you bring the information to us on the dress code, I'll be particularly interested in the background on the hoodies. Why is that such a point of
Well,
contention?
it's an old thing, but hoodies had such a bad rap for so long that it was
Yes.
some sort of thing. I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, our kids have come into school with their face covered. So what's the deal if they got a hood
Right,
up anymore?
Right. And I think that's where my staff
I
is.
think it's antiquated.
It is. And I think that's one thing we didn't catch when we brought that old from 2009. I think that's one of those Klingons. So I think we'll be addressing that.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thank you. That's it.
Well, pretty much what everybody has said already. So congratulations for our invitation for the Northern Lakes League. Also, Ira, thank you for all the work that you have done. We're going to miss you. And with Linda, I haven't worked with you guys. I just got started last year, but Linda too. She helped me out when I first come in and introducing me to everything and helping me out. So we'll miss her too.
Okay, all kidding aside this time. Ira, you provided a structured and solid improvement in the department. The department is functioning much more smooth than it did 2 years ago.
Thank you.
And that's a credit to you. Anytime somebody comes in and that person leaves, you look at where the area was before and you look at it now, and there's definitely tangible gains that we can pinpoint to the treasurer's department. That's a credit to you. And what everybody else said regarding the league, and I'm glad we have our dress code solidified going forward. I think on balance, it's the correct thing to do at this point. And commend just the administration and the staff in particular for the smooth transition back to 5 days a week. Things seem to be going well. We all live for the day when things can be normal again, and we don't need to be wearing these things. Hopefully that day will come sooner rather than later. Okay, at this point, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session. Discuss item B and item J. We have a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Laird,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Espiritu.
And that was Miss Ray.
That was Mrs. Ray. I almost got through the whole meeting with that.
Right to the end.
Almost. Let's just keep
Looks
that
so
record
much
going,
fun.
shall we? I've come to enjoy it, as a matter of fact. It's kind of what I look forward to.
I was going to commend myself for not having a problem. Last thing I get.
Mm.
Okay, seconded by Mrs. Spirits.
Right, Mrs. Ray.
Mrs. Ray, right? Roll call, please.
Ms. Laird,
Yes.
Mrs. Ray,
Yes.
Mrs. Spiritu,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Gorbitz.
Yes. Motion carried. We won't be returning until April 26th.